I fucking love Tekken 8, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect, and in fact, I have a lot of gripes with it despite having a lot of positive feelings for it. This video is being made in order to frame the issues that I currently have with my main character, Kazia, and issues with the game itself that could be rectified in a future patch, merely for quality of life purposes, so that the game can continue to flourish and do well as it's doing right now. We just had a patch come out in the beginning of May here called patch 1.04, and it actually did a lot for the game in terms of health and quality, and it's certainly pushing the game in a positive direction. Dragunov got heavily nerfed, Azucena got pretty much nerfed into the ground. She's still a very viable character, far from the weakest character in the game, but she's also far from the strongest character in the game now, which couldn't be said as of 3 weeks ago, during the making of this video anyways. Feng barely got touched, and he's a top tier character, so that needs to be addressed in the next patch that's coming out apparently in June, but we'll see what happens with that one. And a lot of the bottom tier characters got buffed. We had Asuka, Leroy, Steve, Zafina, the Bears, and also Raven, who all received pretty decent buffs, some a lot greater than others. But those are all bottom tier characters that needed to see a little bit of quality of life changes for themselves so that they could continue to function in this game. This is a very overwhelming game. It's very pressure heavy. Everybody's meant to be pressing buttons at all times, and I understand that that's the direction the devs wanted to go with this game. But it doesn't help that not every character is currently equipped to deal with that type of gameplay, namely my main Kazuya. Kazuya is a very defensive character first and foremost, and always has been. Kazuya relies on capitalizing on your opponent's weaknesses and understanding full matchup knowledge of the entire character roster so that you can best utilize the character of Kazuya himself. Now, despite all the other bottom tier characters getting sufficient buffs to keep them relevant and somewhat mid tier, if not even placing them in high A tier, or in Leroy's case I would say S tier, he got some significant buffs that really made him on an entirely different level. He plays almost like a completely different character now post-patch than he did pre-patch, so Leroy is definitely on another level. But of all the low-tier characters, Kazia included, Kazia was the only character they really didn't do anything with. They adjusted some of his behavioral tendencies with some of his moves, like his Demon Paw and While Standing 2, and they adjusted the hitbox of his Gut Punch after the Hell Sweep so that it wouldn't whiff as often, because his left arm is certainly an issue. But other than that, he really had nothing happen to him. He received pretty much no buffs, and that's because he honestly doesn't need them. We just don't have him functioning the way a character is supposed to function in this game. Kazia has a lot of problems with his left arm. He currently doesn't have a left arm to speak of. I mean that in the most hyperbolic way possible. Kazia absolutely has a left arm, but it's barely useful at all. His jab is one of the worst in the entire game. He sits in the bottom 5 as having one of the worst jabs in the game in terms of range, and the hitbox of the jab is absolutely terrible. And for a character like Kazia, he relies on his jab for a lot of punishment. More often than not, you're gonna see players that play Kazia going for a 1-1-2 flash punch combo to punish moves that are -10 to -14. Simply because it's a really, really good move to punish people with. And if your jab isn't able to be connected, say the second punch in the string randomly whiffs after the first punch comes out, or the first punch just whiffs entirely when it's not supposed to, this happens far more often than I'd like to admit. In fact, Perfect Godfist, a buddy of mine and a fellow very passionate Kazuya main, has made a fantastic video about this regarding a lot of the faults that Kazuya has and is currently suffering from as a character. In fact, it's not just Kazuya's left arm that has hitbox problem tendencies. His standing 3 can randomly whiff in certain combo scenarios, and his back 2-2 is also quite unreliable in the middle of a combo, which is really absurd considering how insanely low back 2 used to hit in Tekken 7. It barely has any type of a low hitting or high hitting hitbox whatsoever in this game. So really the thing that Kazuya needs to have fixed for him to function is his left arm. Just expand the hitbox of his jab. I'm going to make a video pretty soon about the jab ranges for every character in the game, and I'm gonna put a list of what each jab range is. Kazuya, I've identified now, has the 5th worst jab in the game, And for a character that relies so heavily on jab, like I said earlier, goddamn, that's such a huge oversight. Kazuya needs a better jab. His jab stops at 1.9, range 1.9, which means there's a number of characters, like half the cast, can hit you with a jab the moment the round starts, because you start at range 2.0 when the round starts. Kazuya doesn't have that ability. He whiffs his jab when the round starts because his jab can only connect up to range 1.9. After that, 1.91, he whiffs from that range onward. So, buff his jab range. He should have a 1.95 jab, in my opinion. I don't know why the fuck that... He doesn't need a crazy long-range jab like Dragunov or Feng. Like, those guys have insanely long-range jabs. I have a bunch of notes right here. Dragunov's jab is 2.2. Feng's jab, 2.15. 2.16. Fuck. And then you even have Leo here at 2.14. Those three people, those three characters have the best jabs in the game. If your jab is hitting past range 2.1, what the fuck? That jab is nuts. It's way too strong. Even Azucena has a jab that hits at range 2.05. So I've literally just collected all this data today, and I wrote it all down in my little handy here. And I'm gonna make a video about it and record that shit, just to show you what's actually up with the jabs in this game and what characters have good jabs and what ones don't. Kazuya doesn't have a good jab. Like I said, his is the 5th worst in the game. So really the most consistent combo, and the only one you're gonna want to do to get reliable damage from Kazuya all the time from pretty much any axis, is this bullshit. 66 damage, that's nothing, and then you don't even really get a wall combo after that. So, I don't know. Like that's consistent damage with Kazuya. But I thought they wanted us to do this shit, you know? What happened to the 3-1 cancels? 3-1 cancel is what they want you to do in Tekken 8 if you're a Kazuya player. But why do that? Give us a reason to do the 3-1 cancels. That's all I'm asking for. Because if it doesn't yield enough damage, like, I don't know, if I end with back 2-2 laser, that should do 80 damage. At least. Because I don't get a wall combo after that, so I might as well get some decent benefit from doing a 3-1 cancel into a combo ender like back 2-2-3. 3-1 cancel should do more damage, in my opinion. This kick, right? This kick only does 12 damage. It's trash. Why the fuck doesn't this do, like, 16 or 17 damage? No one is going to get hit by this in the open. You're only going to use this for combos. This should do 30 damage. These two things combined, that should do 30 damage. Kick into the jab, 30 damage. Why is that? Why do I want that to be a thing? Well, then it would give us a reason to do the 3-1 cancel, because 3-1 cancels are pretty much freaking useless, as I said. So because your 3 can whiff if you're off axis, your down 4-1 can whiff if you're barely off axis, and your back 2 can whiff easily if you don't time it perfectly right. So I'll go for something like an instant while standing 2. Dragunov will have just stepped out of stance, and this should work just fine, right? As it does. But if you're slightly off axis, like you're sidestepped slightly to the left, it whiffs. And it's very consistent. So slightly to the left, which I'm standing right now, that should not have fucking whiffed. But as you can see, there's a problem with the hitbox. That hitbox issue is not exactly a fault of mine, or a fault of your guys's, or, you know, I just didn't realize that I'm that slightly off axis. The devs want you to do the 3-1 cancel with Kazuya, yet there's no fucking connecting the damn thing. If they're slightly off axis, you whip the damn move, and then furthermore on top of that, to really hammer home how useless that 3-1 cancel shit actually is, the combo that you really should be doing is this shit. 74 damage. Very good combo, you know, decent damage. The wall carry is decent, but the wall splat ability and the wall combo you can get after that is actually pretty shit. It's very situational if you're able to land this shit and then get a wall splat and then still follow up with a wall combo after that. It's it almost never happens because by the time Kazia recovers from this shit, it takes forever for Kazia to recover, and your opponent has already slid down the wall and is on the ground. So you don't really get a wall combo follow-up with that type of when you connect with that move. But the problem is, hitbox is just terrible. If you look at that shit, like it just fucking whiffs. Like I barely step in, and then on top of that, if I don't land the down forward 2 in enough time, or if I just slightly delay the back 2, not the down forward 2, sorry, if I just slightly delay the back 2 as you saw there, I whiff the down forward 1 follow-up after that. So I have not only a hitbox issue with my back 2 whiffing, but I have a hitbox issue with the down forward 1 whiffing in the combo, and the 3-1. The 3 itself. You need to be on perfect fucking axis to fucking access this shit. You know? So the combos with Kazuya are virtually impossible. On top of that, this is ridiculously hard to do. Like the 3-1 cancel into follow-up after that. It's crazy hard to do, especially if you're a new player and you just picked up Kazuya. Like, yeah, I can land it fairly consistently because I spend hours just in practice mode doing just that, when I really should be labbing fucking matchups. But, you know, and I do lab matchups, but I mean, like, I play Kazuya. I gotta sit in the lab and lab his combos because if I'm gonna do anything with Kazuya, I need to do the technical combos. But then Tekken 8 says fuck you to that and gives you better damage with an easier combo and better wall carry and better wall combo ability. But that's the best way to do it, because otherwise, you're doing shit like this. $70 damage, or $74 damage for that. So you're gonna most of the time just end the combo with that, just so you can get them on the wall. But that's 70 damage only. So with the full combo, that's extremely hard to do because you got 2 of these bitches in there, and then you got the 3-1 cancel into this shit. Well, I fucked it up there, but you know, 3-1 cancel into this shit is not exactly easy. You know, that's a hard thing to land. What I'm trying to hammer home here is that there's no point in doing his 3-1 cancel in this game. It doesn't give you that great of wall carry, considering that you can just do the easy mode shit. And as long as you land, you know, delay the back 2-2 appropriately, you're never gonna whiff this shit. Unless you're slightly off axis to the left. If you sidestep somewhat to your left, it's a very stupid, inconsistent thing to have happen because back 2, the hitbox on that is trash, and your down forward 1 is also terrible in terms of hitbox. So you can easily whiff that combo if you're slightly off axis to your left. And the final thing I want to talk about with Kazuya is his heat burst. His heat burst has no fucking range. It's terrible. So if I go from like range 2.8, it whiffs. Now let's try Dragunov's heat burst. Let's see how much range that shit has. So I said 2.8 for Kazuya and it whiffs. Oh, look at that. 2.9 for Dragunov and it whiffs. It still connects. Let's try range 3.0-ish. It whiffs at range 3.0. No problem. But if Kazuya's whiffs at 2.8 and Dragunov's connects at range 2.95, how the fuck is that remotely balanced? In my opinion, that is a huge oversight by the devs. The fuck, man? I just don't understand why Kazuya's left arm has to be such an issue in this game, right? His heat burst is trash, his jab is trash, his fucking down forward 1 is absolutely garbage. Why the fuck did they change that from the CNT? I'll never know. And the other thing about his hitboxes is they fixed this shit. The gut punch sometimes used to whiff. Just if you're slightly off axis after you connect with the kick on the hell sweep, then his gut punch had a tendency to whiff sometimes, which is pathetic. The fact that it was even a thing is just terrible. But the issue I have now is that shit. So, what should be guaranteed, your fucking Heaven's Gate extension, it will just whip if you disconnect with the gut punch. It won't realign with the opponent and it won't connect. Other times you'll hit with the Hell Sweep, you'll hit with the gut punch, and then the fucking thing will whiff anyways. The follow-up extension of Heaven's Gate will whiff as well. So to end everything off, to end this video, Kazuya needs some serious help with his left arm. And increase the damage on 3-1, on his standing 3-1. That might not be too great to increase the damage on his jab, but the standing 3 should have a bit of a damage buff if you want us to use that in a combo. Otherwise, just keep him as is. He doesn't need the damage buff in his standing 3. But then don't expect anybody to do the combos that the Tekken 8 devs wanted us to do with Kazuya. Like, that's the reason they changed so many things about him, is just to give him that 3-1 cancel and then to be able to utilize that in combos. Why the fuck would we do that when we get just as good wall carry and better damage and better wall situation, and in fact a better Oki situation as well, if we do back 2-2 and a down forward 1-2 into 3-1 cancel CD3. That shit does 74 damage. It's a consistent Kazuya combo. It's super easy to do. If you fix the back 2 hitbox, then we'll have no reason to ever do a different combo besides it. So either give us a little extra damage on our standing 3, or we're never going to do 3-1 cancel combos with Kazuya. I don't suggest Kazuya players do that currently. In the state Kazuya's in, just stick to the easy mode shit, because you're going to yield a lot more damage in the long run than you would if you dropped fucking difficult 3-1 cancel combos all the time. So, I'm sorry, I'd rather take the guaranteed 66 damage over the potential 70 damage that I'm gonna probably drop 4 times out of fucking 10, especially in the heat of a match. The other things that I think should be addressed are power crushes. Power crushes in the game universally need to be toned down. You know, power crushes are supposed to be meant to be set up properly, like they were in Tekken 7. We would do something cool, you know, somebody would leave themselves at -2 or -3, and then they would set the opponent up to be power crushed. They would see that, okay, when I do this move, I'm at -3, they immediately take their turn, I'm going to power crush after. A good example of that would be like this. Kazuya forward 3 into forward 2. Forward 4-3, sorry. His forward 4-3 axe kick that he can launch with is -3 on block. Power crushes come out on 7 frames. So you can do this into this. The armor engages on the 7th frame. So it doesn't matter what they do. If my opponent wants to jab, which he can't because he's actually in crouching status from there, the power crush will beat out all their options that they immediately try to take their turn after, right? So that's a cool power crush setup for Kazuya. A blocked forward 4-3 into power crush is a power crush setup. But no one does that. People just like, okay, I lost my turn, spam armor. That's their fucking mindset. And I think in order for power crushes to be utilized in a more skillful manner and not just be abused left, right, and center by all the low-level players that want to just take their turn back all the time, you're trying to use movement to place yourself in a better scenario, and then they go to Heat Burst, which realigns with your fucking character, first of all. What the hell is that? Heat Burst has so much tracking, it's insane. So I think these things need to be addressed. Heat Burst and armor moves in general should be 1 frame slower. The armor should engage after 8 frames, not 7, because I think that they were 8 frames. Armor moves took 8 frames to engage in Tekken 7. So, and it was appropriate there. The armor moves in Tekken 7 were great. There was no issue that I had with them at all in that game, and that's pretty much when armor moves were first introduced into the series, right? So we should definitely tone the armor moves down by a frame. As well, rage arts should be nerfed to -30, not -15. Every character in the game should be able to get whatever launch punish they want if they block a rage art. This -15 bullshit has to go. It's not viable in this type of a game where there's so much pressure going on all the fucking time. Like, you should have a little bit of leeway in terms of retaliating after a blocked rage art. You know, it's like there's no risk to rage arts anymore. Yeah, they're -15. half the, like, there's a bunch of characters, not half the cast, but there's a bunch of characters that can't launch minus 15, not very easily. Kazia is one of them, you know? Like, I can't tell you how many times I got an accidental down forward 2 when I was trying to do a fucking electric after they did their rage art, because I just was, you know, oh, I'm stubborn, I don't want to throw, you know, this is guaranteed afterwards. But 35 damage isn't going to do shit. 40 damage, 40 health is what players have at the, as soon as they engage into rage. Like, you see that little line on their health bars up there, like up on the fucking top area there. As soon as you draw that line in their health bar, that's when they hit rage, and they have 40 health remaining. So if somebody enters rage immediately, and then immediately does a rage art, I punish with this at the end of their rage art, and I don't even kill them. They still are alive for one more mix-up. Not to mention recoverable health is a thing in this game, so you can literally rage art with like 60 plus health remaining. The only thing that's going to kill you at that point is a combo, right? So if you're rage arting against Steve or Kazuya, and you have 60 plus health remaining, just rage art and be done with it, right? Because you're not at a risk to die. Neither of them can really launch you for it. I mean, Kazuya can, but the player has to be super on point if they're going to electric a rage art at minus 15. It's hard to do. So there's a lot more incentive to use rage arts in this game, not to mention that's the only thing you get when you're in rage. You don't get rage drives anymore. They took that out in place of heat smash, which is fine, but it's a resource that you can conserve until it's the right moment to use it. And if you have no risk involved, people are going to spam the shit out of it, and it just becomes chaotic and uninteresting gameplay. I don't want to stand there watching a fucking cutscene all day, simply because my opponent decides to throw out a rage art. And I'm talking about the beginning cutscene of the rage art itself. Why should we be watching that shit all the fucking time just because my opponent decides to, you know, throw that shit out because he's playing against Steve or something, right? And he's got 60 health left. Oh, this guy can't launch me anyways. I'm good. Let's just rage art here. Oh, he blocked it. No big deal. I still get to live for 2 or 3 more mix-ups, which could potentially kill the Steve player. Like, goddamn, man. Rage arts are fucked. They need to get settled back down to like minus 30 or something. Power crushes minus take a frame off of the engagement, so they need to engage 1 frame slower. Heat smashes as well. Those things need to be a lot more linear. Like, why is it that so many heat smashes track to both sides heavily in this game? You pretty much can't sidestep King's heat smash. That's an incredibly ridiculous oversight on the devs' part as well. So heat smashes need to be more linear. Let's be able to step them both sides. It would be very much appreciated, because it would still make it so that they're useful. You just have to apply them appropriately. You need to set up the player for it. You need to get the read. You need to get a sidestep into a whip punish with your heat smash. Like that's how it should be. So just throwing it out willy-nilly because you have that ability isn't really Tekken. That's just random flailing. You know, so yeah, I'm in heat right now. Oh, I'm in heat, I'm gonna just throw the heat smash because nobody can sidestep this shit anyways, and then I get a guaranteed mix-up because I'm in huge plus frames after that. So even if they block my heat smash, you know, King's still up plus 12 and he's in Jaguar Sprint. So what the fuck, man? Like, Dragunov, at least his shit is sidesteppable to the left. Brian's is sidesteppable right, but the vast majority of them, like Kuma's, you can't fucking step that one at all. Same thing with King, like I just said. Extremely hard to sidestep. So, I don't know. Those need to be toned down quite a bit as well. I think that all those things would really benefit the game in terms of health. And then one more thing I had written down here. The most important one, I think, if they don't change anything else, I mean, obviously I want the Kazuya changes for sure, but if they change nothing else, please, get rid of homing throws. We don't need those in the game. Homing throws are a huge issue. They just make everything a problem. Dragunov's biggest issue in past games was his tracking. Now, he has a perfect throw game, as he's always had a perfect throw game. He's got a 1+2 break, a 1 break, and a 2 break. So, if he just decides to run up to you, you don't know if he's going to do a running 2, which is only sidesteppable left, which is another thing they need to fix with Dragunov. That move should be completely linear, step it to both sides. Then it will be balanced, and I think Dragunov will be in a much better position in this game. He wouldn't be so brain dead and busted as he still currently is, even after that patch. But he can just also choose to run up to you and not do while running too. He can just run up to you and do a throw. And even if you're sidestepping left to appropriately dodge the while running two, he can come up to you with his 1 throw or his 2 throw. You think it's a 1+2? Big fucking, yeah. Joke's on you, bitch. You just got 1 thrown and it does 40 damage and now you're dead. And it tracks you because it's homing, because it's a throw in this game. And counter hit throws exist. Yes, they tuned the counter hit throws down to a 14 frame break window instead of a 10 frame break window. Great. I appreciate that they did that. But if you're going to do that, then, you know, follow through with the homing throws as well. Counter hit throws can stay as they are right now, but homing throws, those gotta go. So, just my opinion, my 2 cents. I think that all these changes would benefit the game greatly. It would make it in much better health, and the game would be in a much better position for players everywhere. People would be a lot happier playing Tekken 8. Me, I'm currently, if you've seen me on stream lately, you know I'm extremely frustrated with the state that the game is in. I don't make any effort to hide it whatsoever. I'm very vocal about it. I scream my fucking head off sometimes on stream. Thankfully, I have my gate set to a ridiculous level on my microphone so that the gate plus the compression cuts off a lot of the loud noises you guys would be hearing. But the wife and kids, they don't have the same luxury and they have to hear me bitch. I don't want to be doing that when this game could be in a better position than it's in with these small changes, and then I would have no reason but myself to bitch about how badly I'm doing in this game, right? So, anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, one more reiteration. I don't want to buff to Kazuya. I don't want him to get nerfed. I just want him to function. His left arm needs a serious hitbox adjustment. His standing 3 needs a slight hitbox adjustment, and his back 2 could use an expansion upwards and downwards, just a behavioral adjustment. That's really all I want. No balance adjustments to Kazia, just behavioral adjustments. So that's all he needs, and he would be a fantastic character in every which way. That on top of the changes to the game itself, universally, that I mentioned, and this game would be perfect. Yeah, hope some of you guys got something from this. Again, like, go subscribe to Perfect Godfist. His video was included in this video earlier. I showed it earlier in the video. And, you know, so like, comment, subscribe on my video too, because, on my channel too, because, you know, it's what you gotta do on YouTube, and I'd appreciate it. So, I love Tekken 8. Just not in the state that it's in. But it really could be the best fighting game ever made. Let's hope it gets there someday.